Tell me your story.
I was this close to dying from a brain abscess that was misdiagnosed.
Good to know people care, though.
For a lot of people, the MRIs are clear.
You said you had a lot to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Someone said,
I thought it was normal to have like seizures by yourself all the time.
You definitely will feel guilt a lot.
I so appreciate you putting this together.
thank you. Overnight switch from Briviac to Keppra. My doc told me I got 100 milligrams of Briviac to 1,500 milligrams of Keppra overnight because Briviac is on shortage where I live. I used to take Keppra before I started Briviac, and I know I had good seizure control. I have read that Keppra takes more time to build up in the system, so it is really safe. So, is it really safe to switch like this? What is your opinion? Basically cold turkey. I would never do that with any medication. Talk to your neurologist and ask them, is that the only option, going cold turkey? Because it doesn't sound like a good idea. But I'm no doctor. I'm just going off. It sounds like you might have some seizures just going cold turkey. It just sounds like the possibilities are endless. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put myself at risk for a seizure, and I think that's what would happen.
And remember how long these meds stay in your system, because Keppra is one of the ones I think takes like months to actually get off of altogether. So if you're starting another medication at the same time, that interaction might not have a good effect either.
I think
Yeah.
I read somewhere a rule of thumb: if you look up a drug's elimination half-life, and multiply that by 5, and that is approximately how long it will take for that to be completely eliminated out of your system. So, yeah, with a lot of drugs like clonazepam, with a 48-hour half-life, 48 to 72 hours. I mean, that's
Yeah, and
weak.
I will attest to it that it will give you a seizure.
Wait, what'll
They
give
give
you a
a
seizure?
non-epileptic
Keppra?
person a seizure if they try it.
Clonazepam.
Yeah, Klonopin. That's just the one I know offhand the best because I've researched it. But yeah,
I
half-life
researched
times
it,
5 is
and the pharmacist told me, be
yeah.
careful. It will give you a seizure, most likely.
Most likely. That's
The seizure or the half-life of seizure medications can be anywhere from a few hours to several days, and it's influenced by factors like age and what other medications you're on.
Yep, and it's like the withdrawal period from it. That's basically what it was that I think I faced that last seizure with.
You do not suggest Briviac switching overnight. Well, it doesn't look like this person had an option.
No.
Also, yeah, it's basically just acts and opinions.
But that they're keeping records.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through these 2 comments. One says Keppra and Briviac are direct replacements for each other. Their mechanism of action is identical, and neither medication requires titration. They full effectiveness within 30 to 60 minutes of each dose. There'll also be lingering Briviac in your system. The other comment says, so I took both and I don't have the feeling that either one builds up faster or slower. The effect is similar. Kepra's a little stronger and a tiny bit safer, but that's just my personal experience. Basically, I think that the quick change is not a problem. It worked well for me.
I wonder if they're considering them direct, like one-to-one replacements for each other without having to do any sort of like cross taper or titration. I wonder if they know, like, well established exactly how much Briviact is needed to replace exact amounts of Keppra, because if that's something that's different with each individual, that still might take a little bit of adjustment, you know?
I think earlier. Go ahead, Angel.
Well, I think I mentioned this in the last episode where because when I look around on the Reddit and I notice a lot of people that complain about like the Keppra rage, it's because they've been on like 2,000 milligrams or plus. And you never hear pretty much the people that's under the 2,000s complaining about Keppra rage. So I think Keppra rage may have that. It's like at this point, you're going to get that Keppra rage feeling, Like if you hit the 2,000, it's too high. But, at that risk, you're off, you're trying to prevent a person from seizure, but at the same time, you're putting their, I wouldn't know what you call it there. Like, I wouldn't call it, personality or something. You're changing their personality to basically be like bipolar.
Anyway,
Yeah.
there's another post here saying, how do you journal your epilepsy events? Looking to test a new way of taking notes of the events and show to the neurologist. What kind of experiences have worked for you? Notepad on iPhone. What about you?
For me, I tell my mom. For some reason, I think other people remember better than me. Nobody remembers better than writing it on paper, but yeah, when I tell my mom, she pretty much writes everything down, and that's pretty much stuff I can do.
And
And
for
I
a lot
don't
of us,
know why
papers
I
get
don't.
lost.
Yeah. Or if one of those papers get lost, it's in my mom's memory, which isn't that good at all now that I think about it.
I hated doing that for a while with text. Whenever anything happened that was worth noting, I would text like kept it in the same thread. So it was a record. It had a timeline on it, but it was just texting every little thing to this one person. So that's another reason I had to change. Talk about a morbid conversation.
I got something here, though. So I got something here. Photosensitivity life. Hi there. For those who have photosensitivity, how does it impact your life? Are you restricted from certain activities? What specific types of light, etc., affect you? Some more than others? Has your neuroepileptologist told you you can or can't do X thing? Thank you for your input. I don't have any photosensitivity. Lights don't bother me whatsoever. Yes, my epileptologist or doctor, or neuro, it says, I actually don't have one. So no one's told me anything about lights ever. And also being that I was almost had them. I mean, so when I started having them in front of a computer. So they thought my seizures were photosensitive until they had me in front of that flashing strobe light thing, and they ruled that out. But yeah, that was over a decade later. Yeah. And yeah, anybody having a problem with photosensitivity or lights?
Maybe one or two seizures that I could think of, but no, generally. I mean,
Would
like my first seizure was a photosensitive seizure. I was playing a video game and drinking lots of hot chocolate and stuff, and you know, so I'm assuming is that the definition of photosensitive?
Yep. Seizures triggered by light is basically that.
A little kid, like really focused on this video game, and yeah, so maybe there was another one, with video games, but um, no, yeah, I'm not a photosensitive person.
There is one comment here. It says, not photosensitive for the most part, only when I'm really struggling. Super bright lights in the corner of my vision, and when I'm in a car and the sun passes through the trees and does that flickering thing, I know someone will get me. I'm not exactly photosensitive. It's difficult to say because then you're gonna be like, well, that kind of contradicts what you just said. I'm not photosensitive. I'm just gonna say it, and I don't have seizures like at concerts and stuff where there's a bunch of lights flashing and everywhere. But if someone was to take a laser and just like go right across my eyes, then I'd have a seizure, which is very confusing because like I can go to a concert and I see all the lights everywhere and it did not bother me. But if someone just takes a laser directly and stick it in my eyes,
Oh no, I could totally get that. I mean, there's a difference between how do I put this? Organized light and stuff. Okay, here's something I hate. I hate car lights. They're so bright, and, and does anyone notice? Okay, it's just me and you here talking, but they're halogen lights and they're extremely bright, and uh, they're not causing me seizures, but they're just so bright, and oh my God. But but the last concert I went to, it was lights everywhere and it was fine, didn't bother me at all. I mean, just yeah. I mean, I could be annoyed by light. I could be, yeah, a little put off, even dizzy. They can even make me dizzy, but definitely not affecting the epilepsy at all.
there's another post here I'm on. It's pretty long, so you guys sit back and listen. It says, as a caretaker, how do I support him better and get him to keep up with his medical while I struggle with my own? I'm so frustrated and scared. My husband has seizures. After a focal, he is more than likely to have a tonic-clonic. I have hurt my bulging disc in my back to keep him safe. The last one, I woke up him falling off the bed backwards, and the image still hasn't stopped intruding my thoughts over and over. It's been over a week that I have been asking him to ask for a refill of his emergency med. He said there was a problem with the insurance yesterday, and this evening he said he had no refills left, so the doctor had to approve it. He just had a focal seizure, which I was already on guard for because I've been seeing signs, and I woke him up yesterday morning calling for help because I herniated my disc in my back trying to bathe our daughter before school and couldn't walk or stand. I asked for his phone and looked for my chart. It only shows that he requested it tonight after hours. I can't talk to him about this because I can't cause stress after a seizure, but I plan to when he is better. I'm sorry, but I plan to when he is better and has had time to recover. I'm not sure how though, or what would be the best way to go about it. I'm in so much pain myself and still can barely walk with my cane. I really needed him to be on top of it this time. He has been before. I trusted him when he said he already had. I left a voicemail with his neurologist, and a day or so before I herniated my disc, I never got a call back. I'm terrified. He always pushes back when I call 911 to send him to the ER because I have done all I can and the seizures keep happening. I need the emergency med because he chokes on his blood from his tongue more times than not. I know he cares. I know he cares about me, but when he does things that when he does things, I feel I know he cares, but when he does things that I feel he cares more about how little he cares for himself than how much he cares for me. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do to not end up in this situation or not help him through this. It's been 3 years, how slow, steady growth, but he still won't go to the primary care doc. He won't go do his blood test. He won't go to the dentist, and he won't go to the eye doctor. Does he just expect me to watch him deteriorate right in front of me? I'm exhausted, but I can't sleep because of how scared I am. I barely get quality sleep because I'm always half expecting him to have a seizure, and I don't know if it will ever be the worst one. Where could I the worst one where I could lose him or not? I feel like I have PTSD from it too. I also don't explain it to him because he is the one going through it and he already apologizes when he has a seizure. But I don't know how to feel when he does and I don't have an apology. I've asked him to not apologize because I feel guilty every time he has one and every time he has one and he is the one who is going through the seizures. I want him to take care of himself and will be there when he needs me to the best of my ability. My body is falling apart, taking care of him, taking care of the gaps of his disability leaves me that that are out of his control. I just want him to control what he can and not apologize for what he can't control. He downplays things when I say how serious it is and how scared I am that I could lose him with every seizure and how much scarier it is. It is without a plan, feeling helpless and alone, watching the timing and calling the ambulance. I don't have family around to call for help. And we have 3 kids. I can't go to the hospital with him when he does go, so I moved us closer to a better one. My cash up. I added my cash up to his Uber account in case he has to go to the ER so he can get home after. I did most of the lifting with moving because he didn't have anyone to watch the kids, and I am the only one who can drive. I feel so overwhelmed and I don't know how to do better. I'm so scared right now. Wow. The question was, how do I support him better to keep up with his medical while I struggle with my own health? Oh, that was quite a bit. Sounds like you're going to need help from someone around you. And it sucks that I'm just thought about it. You said you don't have anyone around you because family or no one was close. I don't know. You got to tell him. I know you said it could stress him out of going through that argument with him, but you have problems of your own. You got to put yourself first sometimes, because 2 people with problems isn't isn't going to help at all. Yeah, you can't help him if you're broken.
That may not be so easy to, I mean, people are so dedicated to each other, you know, that they'll drive themselves into the grave taking care of um, a, a person who, and this is happening all over America. You know, we can't take care of sick people, and we have to do that in our homes, and it's a real shame. It's terrible, and yeah, that's what it's sounding like here. This woman is way over her head. She can't. She needs help from. She needs help emotionally and medically. Uh,
Yeah, they need to have a serious conversation. She also said she has her bulging disc in her back, trying to keep him safe. So
yeah, right. Uh, I suppose every conversation with him would be necessary, but um, just changing this person, best of luck, because I've seen similar situations. People, they're hard to change, but
yeah, and this person kind of seems a little selfish. I'm sorry, for lack of better words. Like if you tell this person that, actually, I think she said she wasn't telling him because of his mental health. I mean, because it could stress him. But for this person to just not be taking care of themselves, um, yeah, this person is an adult. They should be able to see that you need help, and to not be helping you because putting their epilepsy first, knowing you have problems, is a little selfish. Um, that's just personal opinion. I think that person is not very caring about your problems, and like I said, two broken people can't help each other. So you just getting worse and worse and worse isn't good, and you not being able to point that out because you don't want to set them off, or I don't have a word for that, but yeah, it's not good for anybody. Uh, I can go down to one of these comments. Yeah, Kate said it just takes a conversation. One of these comments here says, you have to go talk to him. He can't play around with meds. He has to be taking care of his daily meds too. You also can't pour from an empty cup. I'm a hypocrite saying this too, by the way, because I am terrible at it. I'm a full-time caregiver for my kid's grandma with Alzheimer's dementia. I'm great taking care of her and my kids, but terrible at taking care of myself. But we have to. Got to take care of you to be able to take care of him. And goes along with what I said. You got to be able to take care of yourself before you try to take care of someone else. Another comment here says this is a really difficult situation, but it can definitely get better. For me, for example, a big problem was that I wasn't even aware of how I appeared to others. It took me quite a while to realize how powerful this medication was, how exhausted I felt, and how much of a burden I was putting on those around me. Often the effects are only recognized when the relationship has has already shown serious cracks. I would definitely recommend going to the neurologist together. In this case, probably changing doctors and discussing everything in detail. This way, the both have a clearer idea of what things of what to do and where things stand. Got something right here. It says, has anyone had the same experience as me? I've had epilepsy since I was 6 years old. At first, I only had absent seizures. Then at 14, I had my first tonic-clonic seizure, and something weird happened. When I regained consciousness, I felt like I was seeing everything from the outside. I was crying and screaming and couldn't calm down. Since then, it's happened every time I have a seizure. It's as if my body and my consciousness are completely separate from each other. I can think clearly and talk to myself while watching myself panic, cry, and scream. I don't know if this makes any sense, but has anyone ever experienced the same thing? I got something. It says, anyone have seizures while sick? Just like the sub says, I'm polling the crowd. If you guys have minor sickness, say it's a cold, etc., do you find you have more seizures? I seem sure to anyways as I'm fighting the plague right now. Haha. Just wondering. Does anyone have seizures while they're sick?
Yeah, I mean, I've had vocals while I was under the weather with COVID, beginning of this year, and when I had it last year. So it's, I mean, I don't know if COVID is in a different class. If they, by sick, they just mean like your run-of-the-mill sinus infection kind of thing. That's
COVID
not,
causes fever, so it will clash.
yeah. Yeah, I guess the biggest fever-inducing things I've had were COVID. So I haven't had a like a rhinovirus cold really knock me down like that. But now that I've said it, it's gonna happen. You know, that's the way it goes. But did they say they had a fever? Was it
No,
just
it's
like do get seizures when sick?
yeah, this person is saying they're fighting the plague right now. So they're just wondering.
The plague. I wonder if that's a euphemism for like COVID.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It says I seem to oh, the question was anyone have seizures while sick? And it said, I sure seem to, as I'm fighting the plague right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I sure seem to too. What about you guys? You Pookie, you ever have COVID?
For some reason during COVID, I had a lot more seizures than normal, and they were out of control, and I don't know why, because I was like eating good and like in a healthy place. Um, but yeah, my seizures were not good during the pandemic. They were up and down between 6 to 8, at the most, maybe 9 tonics a year, um, every other month, which now it's like every 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And I'm 7 days past 4 months, so headed to 5.
Mhm. Yeah.
Keep my fingers crossed.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did you have COVID during the time, like in the lockdowns at all, to like
dude,
possibly explain that?
I did not have COVID, and I did not get vaccinated. So
Maybe you had like this the sneaky asymptomatic long COVID or something.
I would hope not. But it is possible. And
I mean, it seems like anything is possible with COVID.
yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that I did not get the vaccine and I did not get COVID. Some of the
Anybody
comments
else
will.
get COVID here? Just, sorry, just wondering, like Kate, Angel, Kev, any of you guys get COVID and seizures during that or
No,
associated with the sickness?
didn't
Few
get
years
COVID
ago.
or
I've had COVID twice, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seizures?
when COVID started, I had COVID.
Yeah. Did it change anything with your epilepsy for you guys?
I
I
know I
didn't
was
have
having
epilepsy at that
seizures.
point.
I was really sick though. I had I was the sickest I've ever been in my life. I don't think it was the flu. I think it was something else. I was sick for like 6 or 7 weeks.
Wow.
Just yeah, and just horrible lung stuff, everything. Um, I think it may have been a minor form of pneumonia, even. But had laryngitis, couldn't talk for 2 weeks. Yeah,
Uh,
I was just, but no seizures. That was good.
well,
It held
nice.
up. But yeah, I was horrible. I don't know, terrible sick. But yeah, I'm good now.
High five to that.
Yeah.
I do have a couple comments here. First one says basically the only time I had a seizure when I was sick was when I had the flu when I was little. I had to stay home from school for like a week. It might sound really nerdy, but I was kind of, to be honest, I like some classes, specifically history. And when I got sick, I think I missed out on a lot of ancient history week. For reference, that's my first period to learn about. I think they were doing Egypt or Greece, especially my favorites. Anyways, during that time, I was barely eating anything, though I was staying hydrated. If I wasn't eating anything or sleeping, I was either throwing up or having a seizure. Yeah, clusters. And being sick at the same time sucks. Even if you're even if you are sick and can watch movies all day if you want. Seizures all day sucks. Another comment says, yes,
Amen.
illnesses. Come again?
I said, amen. Seizure all day sucks. Amen.
Yeah. Another comment here says, illnesses are stressor on the body and your immune system, leading to a temporary lowering of your seizure threshold. This comes with symptoms like fever, which increases neural excitability and can destabilize neurons. Immune system response involves an increase in cytokines, which can increase neural inflammation. This combination can become enough of a stressor that can result in breakthrough seizures. I don't understand people who were going to museums and stuff like that then. I mean, I'm just afraid to get sick. I'm afraid of COVID. I've seen what it did to some people.
Yeah, but I do think there is a certain amount of natural immunity you have to build up. You can't just hide inside all the time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I
um,
beg to differ.
And
but
I think it was more.
I'm not talking about COVID, but
No, I
there's
was just saying
germs.
I can hide inside forever.
Yeah.
The world is dirty and filthy. I mean, so you have to be exposed to it, and you know, see when your body encounters a germ, you have to be able to kill it, or whatever happens. So you got to build up immunity to said uh, crap that comes into your body.
I agree with Kevin. There is a certain amount of immunity that you have to build up, and it's not going to be by staying away from it, you know? Not gonna let me.
I got another post here. It says, "What type of seizure is this? Myoclonic? I was diagnosed with epilepsy after my second seizure a few years ago. I'm currently on Lamictal, and I get these jerks where it feels like my brain does a factory reset. I can be doing anything for a second. My body will jerk. Random part of my body. It feels like I black out for a second. I stutter a little bit if I'm talking and get a rush of anxiety if after it happens. I will forget what I'm talking about in some situations, and they will last for a split second. Does anyone else experience this? I have experienced that um, several times, and I've taken it as maybe I'm just sleepy and blacking out because it's more like a, and I don't know how exactly long it is, but I've had those, and it always seems like I just had missed like 1 second, like a blink of. I always take a nap afterwards because I feel like I'm sleepy. But yeah, I've heard a few people say those might be seizures, so I will be getting that checked on someday. Anybody have any idea what kind of seizure that is?
Oh, talking about the brain twitch, the blacking out for a second. Yeah, those were the smaller myoclonics that Jeff asked about. Yeah, it definitely sounds could be anything. But I wouldn't rule that out as a myoclonic, definitely, because I had those all the time, and I had this constantly, you know. But what else did you have?
On the amygdala, get these jerks. Diagnosed with epilepsy after second seizure. Says I could be doing anything. And for a second, body will jerk. Random pieces. I mean, yeah, it's just random pieces of my body. Stutter if I'm talking. Black out for a second. Then I get anxiety after for a second.
Yeah, that could sounds sounds a lot like it, I suppose. Definitely ask your doctor, bring it up.
A few of the comments here. One says this sounds similar to what I'm experiencing. I'm not diagnosed with epilepsy, and it only happens at night for me. But the factory reset and rush of anxiety is the same here. I just made a post on here if you want to read it. Another one says, yes, those are myoclonics. It's good to have Reddit and be able to ask people who are going through this, what is it? This one here is, I'll say long. It says, boyfriend had his first seizure, badly bitten tongue. My boyfriend is 37, experiencing his first seizure this past Sunday. We were told due to low sodium levels, not sure if I should be posting this here or in seizure subreddits. My main question is, he bit his tongue bad. We went to the hospital for Sunday afternoon until tonight, which is Tuesday. His tongue has been really hurting since it happened, and nobody at the hospital really did anything to try and treat it other than lidocaine and tramadol. Tramadol, not until today, though. They never suggested a saltwater rinse until today, so he basically went 2 days without anyone giving him any advice on how to properly clean it or take care of it. He has had a yellow to white coating. His breath stinks, and it seems like the side that he bit has a scab forming. It's raised and has ridges on the side. Infection is obvious. Infection is obviously nothing to delay care about. He hasn't gotten much sleep at the hospital at all, which I know could affect his healing process. We were thinking of seeking treatment from a different hospital tomorrow morning if it doesn't look any better, but I wasn't sure what a normal looking, really bad bitten tongue after a seizure or is treated versus getting infected. Any advice or tips or tricks would be greatly appreciated. It's been a whirlwind of time. The last 3 days, I just want him to have some relief. I know it'll take time. It'll take a while to heal. We go him protein shakes, numbing spray, etc. I'm really just wanting to make sure it's not infected by those that have had experiencing or knowledge about it. TIA. What's TIA?
Thanks in advance.
Oh, I almost said never mind, but that's a good one.
Where's Toaster at? She's the expert on tongue and teachers bites.
Yeah. She said she'll come back.
Mhm.
There's some comments here. One says, I would do a liquid blend soft soupy diet with lukewarm saltwater rinses after every meal. Try not to use the numbing spray. That's going to irritate the injury. Ibuprofen for pain, not the numbing stuff. Even switching around slightly warm, not hot water after drinking anything other than water should help to flush the wound. Until it starts healing, I wouldn't drink anything with sugar. Honestly, I just would drink H2O, no milk, OJ, or even sugar drinks, even zero sugar drinks. It's all going to irritate the open wound in the mouth. Just drink room temperature water and rinse the salt water after every meal, and it should resolve fairly quickly. If it doesn't after a day or two, I'd ask for antibiotics, but limit any form of sugar right now as it feeds oral bacteria. Good luck. I hope he has a speedy recovery. One more comment. It says, if that's what he needs, to get nutrition, it's okay. But it does have natural sugars or sugar substitutes, which will still impede healing or aggravate or cause pain to oral wound, as it is food for bacteria. So if he needs to drink these to get nutrition, he should be using salt water rinse after drinking, and getting as much water as possible is key. Staying hydrated is going to help it so much faster. Lightly brushing his teeth, tongue, cheek, wherever in his mouth is tolerable, just with water, and then using salt water to gargle and flush his mouth will help a lot. Oh man, those were long responses. Go ahead, Mark. Ugh.
So I mean the piercing aftercare for the tongue piercing is basically just you rinse your mouth with a disinfecting mouthwash after every single time that you eat or drink anything except water, and after every single time you smoke anything or vape anything, inhalation, anything that goes in your mouth that is not water, you rinse your mouth out with mouthwash afterwards. And I mean, that worked really well for my tongue piercing, and I followed that every time I chewed up my tongue, and they heal, I mean, really quickly. So that's something that I would suggest, and something that I didn't hear mentioned among any of these other people. They're talking about sugar and this and that. I mean, the sugar in your diet doesn't matter if it's not staying in your mouth. Rinse your mouth out, wash it out, clean it out. And if you're thorough with that, then you're not feeding any of that bacteria there anymore. You know, like you don't need to be that careful with your diet and change your diet afterwards, specifically if you follow up with the oral hygiene. I mean, in my experience, maybe I haven't chewed my mouth and tongue up as badly as some others, but I think that what they're saying is overkill. You know, just brush your teeth, make sure you do it at least twice a day, and rinse your mouth out with mouthwash after every meal and anytime you smoke.
Yeah, I read those comments and now I have another post here. It says, "Am I having many seizures?" Listen, I know this may sound stupid, but I want questions answered. So basically, I have autism and ADHD, and I take 36 milligrams of methylphenidate pills for concentration, and I have been on methylphenidate since around May or June this year, and I experienced this weird thing, especially when I'm trying to work where I want to get some work done, but then especially if I feel overwhelmed, I sort of lose control of my body while still feel like I have control, but when I tell my body to do something, it just starts moving weirdly. And then I start feeling like I'm uncomfortable in my seating position. Then I continue to move weirdly. Then it would just stop. Then I would take a nap or try to get back to what I was previously trying to do. By by the way, I've never blanked out or had any convulsions, but I'm wondering if this is just advanced neurodivergent paralysis, especially ADHD, caused by feelings, being overwhelmed by the work I have to do, or something serious like a seizure. Um, if you're not diagnosed with epilepsy, I don't want to just be like you have epilepsy because, yeah, you have some other things. I don't want to just say those seizures could be anything. That stuff you're going to need a neurologist for. I don't have the answers exactly. Any of you guys have the answers for that? Many seizures.
I mean, what they describe could easily be a form of like a short, small scale, like shutdown, autism spectrum shutdown. They mentioned neurodivergence, so that's clearly on the radar already. And it is something that happens where just in the midst of something that is extremely intense, either emotionally or cognitively, just the brain can sometimes short, or the neurodivergent brain can just short circuit and just like an abrupt shutdown that's, I mean, to describe to an external observer, for lack of a better term, it sounds kind of similar to some like a sort of absence seizure. So I can see why that is a question in their mind, but without their history and without more information on their psychiatric background and their upbringing, it's difficult to make any sort of guesses about that. You know, the best I could say is to recommend that they speak with their neurologist and specifically see about speaking with or getting a referral to a psychiatrist, if possible, a neuropsychiatrist, someone with a a special focus, not just on, the therapy and the diagnosis, but of the nuances of those conditions that come along with a lot of our sort of funky brain wiring. So there's definitely something there. If it's bothering them enough to ask the question, it should be a question to bring up with their doctor. And it certainly sounds like a very, very valid question to bring up to a doctor. It's not, you won't sound crazy going to a doctor and saying, hey, I got this and this going on, and I'm wondering, it's a very reasonable question, even if they'll reassure you and say, no, it's just, this other thing, and send you on your way. But yeah, I'd follow up.
That's the problem, though, these days. It's like very few of us have very good doctors that are actually helpful. Like, most want to dismiss it right away.
Gonna go to the comments. One comment here says, kind of sounds more like overwhelm or meds side effects from seizures, other than seizures. The in quote still aware part doesn't really match seizure stuff. Another comment says, it's not stupid. It's not stupid, but you should see your doctor. Write detailed notes and when, where, how, and often, and what was going on before. I wouldn't jump to seizures. Could be a few different things. Could be as easy as changing your meds. Another one says maybe focal tics. I would go see a doctor. I have ADHD and low spectrum autism. I have not had anything like this, even under severe stress. I also take a stimulant to help me focus on getting things done. While Reddit has a lot of people to share experiences, it's best in a situation like this to go see your doctor. One more comment. It says,
just to know, I don't know if it was covered or mentioned when the question was read out, but the methylphenidate that they mentioned that they take is Ritalin. So it is a stimulating ADHD medication, fiddling with the dopamine directly. So that's another factor.
or what'd you have to say, Kevin?
So could the medicine be causing some sort of tremor or something in this person's um biology? I mean, it seems we're, putting the cart before the horse here. It seems like um, because they have ADHD, they're taking a medicine, and the stimulant might be affecting their body in a negative way.
How negative? Which part? Please elaborate.
Well, it's a stimulant, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, I don't know. Perhaps this person doesn't even need this medicine. I don't know. But if we all know that doctors do assign medicines, and perhaps they don't need this, or maybe it's a throwing that
Gotcha.
out there.
Couple days ago, somebody was saying, I feel so beat up after my cluster yesterday. Anyone ever refused to be taken to the ER? I had a reaction to a cortisone shot, proceeded to have 7 seizures within a few hours. Boyfriend kind of freaked out, called the ambulance, refused to go because I've been in that nightmare before. They give you a benzo and then keep you up all night checking on you. Refused to go, yes, because I was aware enough to know that I didn't want the bill.
Sometimes I'm just awake and I don't want to go, or sometimes I don't think I need to go. But then there's always those family members who are like, you need to go, you're having a seizure, it's been a seizure. Most of the time, it's those ones who've never experienced it, who are just for sure going to be like, call the ambulance, or they wake up in the ambulance, and even if I tell them I don't want to go, then they're arguing with you about why not want to go. And you didn't see it. You didn't have to go through this and that, and so on. Yeah. We don't have to see them, so every time someone
Yeah.
argues, it's usually family about going, and then I end up going. Go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, it's like the people who don't have to, it's like you said, the people who never felt it or anything don't realize it. But then there's another side to it where stuff like if people are filing for disability or something, a disability lawyer wants you to go to the ER every time, even if you don't need to.
Yeah, it looks like they were saying in the comments that I have a couple times refused to go. Same thing over and over again. And I don't need to hear it every time. I have strict rules regarding when I need to be taken to the ER.
Yeah, even the ER says you don't have to be, even your doctor will say, like, you don't have to go to the ER every time. You know, like they say, if it's more than 5 minutes, then yeah, go. But it's like some people want to send you right away just because you're having one.
And this one's saying if I'm coherent enough to be asked if I want to go, I'm not going. So that's a good way to put it too.
Yeah, there's times where I didn't want to go, but I just couldn't get the words together, and I just kept not talking right. They're like, we're gonna take you. You can't form words, and then I'm frustrated, and I'm like, I can't get it. I'm not sure why. And then I just rant off into another speaking words that make no sense. And yeah, do that a few times, and I still tell them I'm talking right in my head, but they don't take that as an answer, so they take you to the emergency. And then they never pay for the bill, so yeah. Don't you think people who send you to the emergency room should get the bill? You're like, I didn't call the ambulance.
100%.
I wonder how many customers have ever tried to ask that.
Yeah, it's be like, I don't remember going there. Sorry.
Easier to take an Uber. He's having a
Easier
seizure.
to stay home.
Call him an Uber.
We'll be like, well, guess what? If you want to send me to the ER, you're paying for the bill. See how fast they'll say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to live right around the corner from the hospital, so people were able to come get me and all that, or give me a quick Uber. But I think that people should get the bill.
I
Do
think
have another
they
post
always
here.
make sure never to even when it's a stranger, they make sure not to get your contact information or anything in case something ends up happening. Anything ever happened in public where a stranger ended up calling one, but there was like no effort made to stay in touch or find out what happens to you? That's probably a pretty common thought behind that too. You help the stranger, but you don't even want to hear from them if it has anything to do with the bill.
Yeah, I've had a person call the ambulance that said they only called because, no, they said they only stopped because I looked like someone else.
That's bystander effect in psychology. Large cities, large groups of people, nobody goes and calls 911 because everybody assumes somebody else in the crowd is going to go and call 911. There's a case, I'm forgetting her name, a Italian immigrant lady in New York City back in, I think, like the 1930s. She was stabbed 7 times in an alley in New York City in front of a dozen or so witnesses who all watched, and people walking by on the sidewalks saw her. People in the apartment buildings around heard it happen, heard her calling. Everybody assumed somebody else was going to call the police, and nobody did. And she died, and her murderer was never found. Was Jeff waving?
Yeah, they all assume that somebody else would call, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is nobody gave a shit. And that's how it is in New York City. You could kill somebody right in front of you, and you're just going to keep walking. It's just the way it is there. Nobody gives a shit about anybody else. If you see somebody getting mugged on the street, you keep going. See an old lady getting pushed somewhere, no big deal. Doesn't affect you.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's not my
Don't get
business.
involved lest it become your problem too.
I'm sorry?
Don't get involved lest it become your problem too.
Yeah, kind of, it's all part of it. People just don't care. It's the kind of place I
To an
moved out.
extent, you never,
I moved
to,
out when people would rather bump into you than move a quarter of an inch to avoid you. And that's when I left. And it's
not a
gotten worse.
friendly point to you, right?
No,
Yeah. Wow, that's
it's really
heavy.
yeah, it's just not one person cares about any other person unless they're in their circle. And then it's only a minimal caring. Okay, end of rant.
I got a post here. It says relationships. Oh. I'm 22 and my mom won't stop bugging me about getting a boyfriend, but I can't stop worrying about what could happen because I have ODSP since I can't work, and I constantly have the fear that some guy will just use me for my money and think my seizures are a burden and leave me. Sometimes it feels like sometimes I feel like I'm just gonna be alone forever since I can't do anything for myself. No guy would like a girl that's just like me. What do I do? As a man, I should say you stop doubting yourself. Somebody out there for you.
We really could have used Kate's view on this just a second ago. It's kind of a
He'll be back.
So now this woman is afraid of men taking her money or whatever or something,
Or being a burden.
being a burden. She's just got to have a little confidence, or that's trust is the foundation of a relationship. Even I know that's pretty basic. I mean, you got to be able to trust people, and if you think everyone's going to steal from you, you're not going to have a relationship. So you got to have a little confidence in yourself and in other people. I mean, if you think all men are evil, then you're not going to get any. Well, that's my opinion as a man.
Gotta
This
put
girl's
yourself
22
out
and she
there.
just, yeah.
You're gonna find basically what you're looking. What you don't want is what you're gonna find. You know.
Yeah, and about the mom, what do you guys say about that? The mom is bugging to get a boyfriend.
Uh, Anyone else
I
want
go,
to take that one? Because
You should tell her mom she's going to pick up some guy that's living on the street and make him her boyfriend. If that'll make her happy.
go get some random guy. It was
Yeah.
your idea.
Well, you wanted to have a boyfriend, so here he is.
Go get Pookie. Pookie's awesome.
Get him on me. On broken goods.
He's 22. That age difference is a little.
You're not broken.
Some of the comments. One says, I know what you mean. I'm 25 and I feel the same way. Another comment says, I'm 45 and I feel the same way. I still live with my parents. I had bad relationships over the years lost. Be careful when you can't remember. My ex-boyfriend, Effer, actually said, allegedly joking, that sex was fun when I was seizing. WTF. Now, not only do I feel lonely and worthless, but scared. Do not let anyone treat you bad for any reason, and no isolation. Sending healing and love your way. Um, One says, I am 53, 11 years widowed, grown children, 3 medical conditions, which includes absent seizures. I want to get out there to date, but I too feel like I would be a burden. Who would want to deal with someone who has not 1 medical condition but 3? I try to hold on to a Dear Abby quote, end quote. Don't let the past dictate who you are, but let it be a part of who you become. It's hard to remember. It's hard remembering this, but I try to. Another comment. One says, please don't assume that no one will want you. I have noticed that tons of us on this list have a spouse, significant other, partner, etc. Many of them were found from post diagnosis. You're really young and you're going to meet people and have no doubt that you will find the person you need. I am, however, annoyed with your mother. I don't feel really I don't feel ready to put yourself out there for a relationship. Then don't. I'm sorry that she isn't listening to you. Try to ignore her. I know how easy this is. Take care of yourself. They should have put how hard this is. Not easy.
yeah. Typo, maybe.
Challenging.
Negative easiness.
One more comment. One says, I'm not exactly in the same shoes, but I'd say to date only when you think you'd be comfortable. Like, I'm 23, but I still feel hesitant to have a girlfriend, can say that, can say that don't mention about the money at all to the person you date, and definitely start low and slow. If the person would want you for money, if the person would want you for money, one would be desperate in the very beginning, sorting out the majority. Sorry, but I can't help anymore as I've never had to experience such, but definitely check for red flags if you think he's cheating or seeing someone else. Because I've been betrayed a few times in school by those I considered my best friends. Have always been hesitant ever since. Says, is it normal to have random thoughts bouncing around your head? Maybe I'm in the wrong place to ask for this, but I was wondering if this is normal. The thoughts we the thoughts we are almost like when falling asleep and going into a dream, but I'm awake when it happens. It is more like thoughts, but they feel so random and they are just not mine. My head also feels very fuzzy. The question is it normal to have random thoughts bouncing around your head? I have insomnia, so that's what's usually going on with me. Is I just got a bunch of thoughts just over and over and over, and for some reason they always seem like the best thoughts that I have, but I just can't get it off my mind. So I'm thinking about it over and over and over. It's always a good thought, just wrong timing.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, like, who doesn't have a bunch of random thoughts just bouncing around their heads at, you know, odd times? And I think us with epilepsy, we get it at definitely the wrong time, and we have to definitely control it more, especially because certain thoughts might stimulate us too much and may cause a seizure or whatever. But yeah, we have to be careful with that. But it's not just that person, it happens to all of us.
You mean random thoughts during the day or just sleeping? Just any random thoughts we're talking. Because I mean, I don't know, just
Sorry.
no, I
That
mean,
what you're talking about?
uh, just are these random thoughts just anytime during the day or like just at night?
This person just random thoughts.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I used to have a lot of them. Uh, when I was a little younger, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, I would, you know, yeah, I was never, I would never stop moving. I had so much energy and I think after the surgery and they put me on clobazam and the Depakote and the topiramate does not help. I think it's mostly the clobazam that it kind of I that inner narrative that never shut the hell up. Yeah, that kind of went away, and I really miss that. And yeah, and I always talk to myself during. I have a ritual for going to sleep, so yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, it's pretty normal. Because I get like that when, um, like the person said, um, the thoughts are almost like when you're falling asleep and going into a dream. Mine's just like that. I'll be trying to lay down. Well, no, I'll be laying down, and these are the times I'm explaining when I have insomnia. It's like I go into a thought, and it's like a thought I want something I want to think of, but then it's like bad timing, and I can't get it off my brain, but I can't stop thinking about it. So it's just like over my mind over and over. And sometimes it's I look up and 2 hours have passed, and I was like, "Oh, I thought I was dreaming," and no, I was just laying there, and I was awake thinking of this. I end up putting those pieces together. Yeah, it was just like laying there for that long can get to me, and I'm like, "Oh, well, I was laying down instead of falling asleep. Like, why am I laying here staring at the ceiling?" Is what I get sometimes, and yeah,
Here's the problem, because the brain goes in loops, and you'll get stuck on one thing. And what I do is I tell myself a story so I don't get stuck on one thing. I'm not thinking about like, oh, the dog or something, and that annoying dog or something. And so I'll tell like a science fiction story, and it'll be crappy, but it it's good enough to get you to sleep because like it's like meditation, but it's like, you know, your brain's focused, but you're going to sleep, so there's nothing rattling around in your head.
I'm gonna go through some of these comments about the thoughts bouncing in the head. It says the first one says, "If this is not normal, then I'm in trouble." One says, "Yes, ADHD makes it worse, to be honest." Another one says, "All the time, all the time." It's right along with what I was saying. Someone said this would be because of the ADHD, I guess. Another one says sounds like hip hypna hypnagogic hallucinations.
Hypnagogic. That's associated with the transition from awake to asleep. So the kind of hallucinations and sounds and visions and sort of dreamy state that you're in when you're falling asleep, not quite asleep, fully asleep and dreaming, but not entirely awake necessarily.
Yeah.
There's also like another phenomenon, hypnagogic jerks. I don't know if you've heard of that, but um, there are some people like while they're falling asleep, right as they're in that hypnagogic state, they'll have a muscle spasm and something that very strongly resembles a myoclonic jerk, but it's not an epileptic thing. Um, but the jerk, your arm suddenly tenses or a leg kicks and stuff in such a like an isolated muscle in such a quick, precise way that you couldn't voluntarily replicate it if you wanted to. Um, so it's interesting, like hypnagogic state and phases and stuff and what's happening there is a
Does it
mystery.
does that relate to going to sleep and waking up? Like the state of waking up and going to sleep?
I am not sure. I would need to look that up.
Uh, I'll look that up because I always had really bad myoclonic seizures waking up, like that time period. It's
Waking up,
very
not
interesting.
asleep, or
Hmm.
not while asleep or falling asleep, just in the waking up.
That time period, like just after I woke up, it would be, um, you know, a real, it's not, it would be real bad. Just a real, shit. I don't know. I'm out of words. Go.
Were
Uh,
they what was waking you up kind of thing?
just anything. Just you know, for school or for um just waking up, and I couldn't.
Right
I
there
had
in the
to
room.
I had to wait to see what kind of condition my body was in, see if my body was jerking or and if I went back to sleep, then I would have a seizure. I might. So that was weird. I couldn't go back to sleep. Like I got, if I tried to go back to sleep, the seizures got worse. I don't know. It's
That,
very, very,
that
very
sounds tough.
strange.
That, yeah, that, that sounds tough.
So I
Yeah,
just basically had to wait
like,
many hours. And like some days there would be no myoclonic seizure, and other days there would be, I don't know. It was just
just kind of
crapshoot,
full of
a
them.
real crapshoot.
Yeah. And that was, you've had the VNS for 7 years now, or has it seizure-free 7 years?
9 years. I
Nine.
had the since, so it took 2 years to fully work.
Tweaking the voltage and, or what it's
Yeah,
frequency
it's we.
and
I
current.
mean, look, let's just say I'm not the best patient, so I can see why it took a little longer with me. So was I think it can vary the time. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was yeah. That was it.
We are all gonna live that dream that Kevin is living right now, seizure free.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you would be to this point?
Not really. I never thought about it because it was just like my head was everywhere. I was like in a chaotic state. It was just never considered.
It says, anyone else? I start to notice I sometimes start to feel off sometimes. I get the feeling washing over me that I get when I spasm. Doctors are still unsure if they are seizures, but I never spasm during it. It's just a feeling that lasts for a while before leaving. The same tingly feeling on my skin. Am I alone? Am I going insane or being paranoid? Just because I'm not experiencing, I wouldn't say you're going crazy or that you're not, or that you're alone in this. But I can't say that I haven't experienced it personally. Um, does sound very interesting, and that's something to let your neurologist know. Um, take notes of how that's going and when that's happening because I'm kind of interested.
Yeah.
Me too. And I
Um,
always have this feeling like they don't fully know, so they want to see it more.
right.
And, you know, even if they do think it's like, oh, wow, this is a seizure, but it's like they're not experiencing it, you know, firsthand. They can only experience it like, seeing it. But it's harder when you have to live it.
I
And
mean,
of
I
course,
guess they could subject the doctors to electroconvulsive therapy and, give them some nice seizures so they can sympathize with their patients and know what know what their patients are going through. But I think if anything, that might discourage the best and brightest from studying epilepsy if they were required to have a seizure. So,
Yeah, they'll be tortured.
yeah, yeah. We just gotta figure out how to expand the English language enough to like describe and convey what's actually the subjective experience. So yeah.
It's really hard for us to describe it, but we understand each other because we all know those feelings and stuff. And it's still hard for us to describe it.
Yeah, we all get such different, indescribable feelings.
Communication is just so subjective. And yeah, that's a freaky thing because you can't really get things across to people, even in your own language. Or how would a patient describe an experience? It's purely in your head. Yeah. It's like describing a dream or something. You can't it's there and it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if anything, language is a constraint on consciousness. Consciousness itself is independent and so much larger and innate to the human experience than language is. Language is kind of artificial to the human experience. If anything, it's proved by how many different languages there are on the planet, and all of them equally represent humanity. So human consciousness can't be contained within any particular language.
Um,
I think that makes somewhat sense. If anything, it's kind of philosophical.
Please take your medication as prescribed or whatever works for you. We're not doctors.